Batcave, HNL, da 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 da. No, that's the Schizo Garage song. I got to come up with a different song for up here, or even better yet, no song at all. So, Theater of Pain from Motley Crue was re-released this week, and I'm listening through it. It sounds good. It's like, remastered again for the 10th time or whatever, how many times they re-released this. I like the cover though. They made a cooler looking cover. It has like a kind of burned kind of look to it. The original was just so soft, and it cast me back to the summer of 1985, living in my beach house, white privilege, and getting the cassette along with what I got, that and Fly on the Wall by AC/DC. And the Crue cassette was the first one I'd ever opened that had a clear tape. At that time, prior cassettes were just white with a black case. The AC/DC and the Crue ones were the first ones that were clear tape with a clear case, so it looked fucking snazzy. I remember opening it and getting the distinct smell of strawberries. I don't know why. It was not unpleasant, but it was just weird. It's like, this cassette smells good. I wanted to bite it, or it made me want Starburst. They should have sold Starburst with it. It would have, value for money. But I had seen pictures in magazines, and I was confused prior to this. 1985, like 15. I have no frame of reference for early 70s glam rock. I'd never seen the New York Dolls. I don't know all that shit. So looking at the pictures in magazines, I'm like, is this like a circus thing? They look like clowns. They always look like, to me, they always look like chicks anyway, so it wasn't the feminine faces, it was the fucking pink and the chiffons and the lace, and this is a far cry from Road Warrior of Shout at the Devil. And I popped this thing in. I think I might have heard Smoke in the Boys Room on one of those metal shows on radio at this point. I hadn't seen the video. I'm at my beach house. We don't have cable up there. So, yes, white privilege, but not quite enough. So I throw this in, and I was like, and again, frame of reference. Like, at this point, I'm a metal kid. I listen to, Iron Maiden, Dio, Ozzy, and arena rock. Journey, REO, along with AC/DC, all that shit. I have no knowledge of like 70s kind of boogie-woogie shit-kicking classic rock. So, City Boy Blues comes out in my headphones. I'm like, didn't know what to do with it. I was like, what is this? Do I like this? It seems a lot more wimpy. This is not Shout at the Devil. As extreme as the change was from the visual, the music was too. This was not heavy metal in any way, shape, or form. And Motley Crue on Shout at the Devil were considered heavy metal. There was a time when everything that was really loud and rockin' was just considered metal. Black Sabbath, Motley Crue, Rat, Wasp, heavy metal. Then as the 80s went on, everything would get divided into subgenres. Thrash, glam metal. And if you were a band in the middle, like Priest or Maiden, you kind of struggled. You kind of went back and forth. There's no way. They still did well, but after 1985, both of those bands kind of lost a little bit of prominence. Maiden and Priest. In the U.S. In the UK, Maiden got bigger than ever, but in the U.S., there was a drop-off with them. But this isn't about them. So I'm listening to City Boy Blues, and I'm just like, sushi, and what the fuck is this, do I like it? I don't know. I have to hear a lot more. Smoke in the Boys Room comes on, and then I start hearing a couple other songs that are more like Shout at the Devil, like Save Our Souls was more like that. Keep Your Eye on the Money was still a little like, not poppy, but just happy, kind of. Oh, has this always been... Okay, there we go. Has this always been out of focus? Whatever. Point is, Forget about the Pope. This is a whole different proposition. And I think it's kind of brilliant what they did, because it obviously worked for them. It got a lot more girls into it. Home Sweet Home was huge. I never liked that song, still don't like it now. I thought it was kind of lame, especially when it had no point of reference for it. You know, only later did I get into Aerosmith, a couple of years later, and I understood what they were doing. They were doing a Home Tonight or a You See Me Crying. Aerosmith would end all their 70s rock albums with a ballad in the vein of like a Home Sweet Home. Nikki Sixx was wearing fucking Steven Tyler's Draw the Line outfit. It's like he went into fucking rock and roll, the Hard Rock Cafe, and just pulled it off the wall. The Hard Rock Cafe that didn't exist. It's the same fucking outfit. So I see what they were going for. But it was so alien to me at that time as a kid that had, you know, that didn't understand any of that music or those bands or even that aesthetic. It was really weird. And I saw them on that tour at the Manning Bowl in Lynn. I got to meet Heather Locklear, who was just hanging around the soundboard, and I had her autograph my tour book, which was a Shut Up the Devil tour book. Because when I saw them, they didn't have enough photographs to make the Peter Pan one yet. It's the preferable of the two tour books, because Peter Pan was all the fucking clown show shit. That Shut Up the Devil still looks cool, you know. So I remember I got our autograph on the back of that right over Alistair Fiend. They ditched Alistair Fiend too. He was a cool character, but this new kind of softer Motley didn't fit. And you know, looking back at it, it was pretty fucking. They were pretty savvy, or the people behind them, to keep changing. Like it started up as that. It was almost like a punk thing on the first album, like a garage DIY. Kind of sounded like shit, but it was cool. And from that, they went into like metal, and now they're like a classic rock kind of boogie woogie shit kicking band. It was really weird. I remember the song "Raise Your Hands to Rock" was fucking awful. The first time I heard it, even as a kid, there was a cynicism that crept in, like, oh, they're trying to do a fucking like Mellencamp thing or something. What is this? Remember Nikki Sixx at the time in interviews was talking the song up. I was like, it's like an AM, you know, radio hit. You know, it's something you could listen to, on something that could be played on the radio, because at the time they weren't being played on the radio. All these bands from the 80s, that hair metal bands, they never got on the radio. Never. The time you heard them on the radio was like midnight on Saturday or Sunday. Even Motley Crue. It took a long time. It was way past the prime of those bands before they started playing them on classic rock radio, like as a nostalgia thing. We did have a station called WAAF that played a lot of stuff, but even then, they were more what would be considered classic rock, and they weren't playing like Iron Maiden or anything. It took a little while to do that. Classic rock at that time was not even a thing. It was called oldies, and it was the Beatles and the Stones, you know. Your parents would listen to that station. So it was a whole different world. It was a whole different world. But I remember just looking at Peter Pan, just thinking pink. And the whole thing is pink. It sounds pink. It looks pink. It was a real swerve. But it worked. And then, for the next album, they did the swerve again. They got rid of everything and went down to, we're tough biker guys now, with greasy hair, and we don't wear makeup. I think that whole thing with them, I think that was pretty brilliant, the way they did that. They changed, and every other band followed suit. And it was funny how they copied Motley. He had Ozzy Osbourne looking like an Italian grandmother, you know? And then as soon as the Crue took the makeup off, everybody else did too. I was talking about Tesla. They came out before Motley took the makeup out. They were still in Peter Pan mode when Tesla came out. Tesla was the first band to just have jeans and t-shirts. That on a major scale in that genre. You know what I mean? But yeah, Peter Pan re-released. It's out. There's some extra tracks on it. Really weird album. Not one I reach for too often. But it just shot me back to the summer of '85. Being very, very confused by all that. And never really taking a like to it. I thought it was okay. But it never got the replay that Shout the Devil did. I like Girls, Girls, Girls more than Theater Pain. And of course Dr. Feelgood I thought was better than Theater Pain. So it's always been kind of that out. It was just kind of lazy. Like, the songs aren't that good. They're like, you can tell they didn't like sit around and go like, all right, let's make this one better. All right, it's like they got 10 things together they could use. And some of those songs I got, Save Our Souls, and even Keep Your Eye on the Money, was stuff that was happening in the studio during Shout the Devil. These are discarded ideas. But yeah, minimal effort album saved by the singles that got big on MTV. There are no good deep cuts on that. Maybe City Boy Blues. Just because it's so weird. It's so different. To me, you know, at that time. Now it's like just very rock and roll. You hear what they're doing. You know. It's like a Brownsville Station. That song sounds more like Brownsville Station than fucking Smoking the Boys Room does. Alright. I'm putting more effort into talking about this album than they did making it. So I'm going to cut out now. Thanks for dropping in. And I'll see you guys soon. Don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.